There are a lot of ways to kill enemies in Red Dead Redemption 2. You can shoot them, blow them up, or run them over with a horse. Today, we're asking the question, can you beat Red Dead Redemption 2 with only a Cattleman revolver? For this challenge, I'll be ignoring all weapons that aren't the Cattleman revolver. This means that every kill, every knockout, and anything else has to come as a result of the Cattleman revolver. At the start of Chapter 1, we go on a brief ride with Dutch, meet the main antagonist of the game, and get into a little bit of a brawl outside of Adler Ranch. This isn't much of a challenge like most of the shootouts in the early game. It's generally intended that you'll only have the revolver and maybe a repeater. So the game is very heavily designed around being able to beat these with just a revolver. After looting the little bit that was left in the cabin and getting into a fight in the barn where we let the O'Driscoll run away, I went in and met Sadie as Micah showed off his charming personality, and I completed the first mission as Sadie's house burned behind me. The second mission I took on was going and rescuing John from the top of the mountain. The game really wants you to take the shotgun here, but you can just go and switch it out for the pistol. I very briefly tried to leave John behind, but the game forced me to take him with, and the wolves largely didn't pose an issue, despite in most of my playthroughs it taking me 2 or 3 attempts to beat them. On the mission where you go hunting with Charles, nothing that important happened. The game really wants to push the bow on you in this section, but it doesn't actually have any issues with using the revolver to hunt the deer. One of the interesting things that happened though, and I'm not sure if it's because I shot them or something else, but one of the deer decided to come back to life briefly. This really freaked me out, and I think it took me about 5 minutes to start the next mission, just because of how interested I was in it. But eventually I got to the raid on the O'Driscoll camp. One of the big issues in the early game is highlighted here. If you look at the top right, I'm basically out of ammo for most of the fight. This wasn't a huge issue in this fight, as I beat it with a few bullets left, but this issue does come up a few more times before I eventually get smart enough to stock up on ammo. Following the O'Driscoll camp raid, we start the train robbery. This is another mission where the game only intends for you to have a few guns, and luckily on story missions your ammo refills at the start of them. The only difficult part of this came with the train engineer. The game forces you to fight him hand to hand and knock him out, so I just made sure to shoot him as I was leaving. I consider it that if a sheriff were to find him, they'd probably determine that he was shot to death. After blowing open the train and shooting all of Cornwall's remaining guards, we started the descent down the mountain and reached the start of Chapter 2. After starting Chapter 2, I immediately went to annoying Uncle into starting the first mission. Went through the brief tutorial the game gives you on how to buy things before passing out drunk on a bench in the middle of town. After waking up, I tried to intimidate someone by shooting at them, but apparently that's the wrong way to do it. So instead I did it correctly by using my words to intimidate them. Following this, I encountered Jimmy Brooks, and made sure he didn't suffer a painful death by shooting him in the head before he fell down. Following this, I got involved in a fight in the bar in Valentine, got absolutely hurtled through a window, and ended up beating one guy so badly that a preacher had to step in and break up the fight. Then I went and broke up a game of poker happening at one of the train stations, and made sure that Reverend Swanson didn't get turned into a red mist by the train. On the next mission, I met a man who was literally worse than the devil, and was tasked with beating up a Polish immigrant who didn't speak my language. After beating him up, I had to steal his possessions to settle the debt that he had taken out with the gang. Shortly after, I started another O'Driscoll raid. This is probably one of the better missions in the game, just because of how it's presented. Stealth kills with the revolver are exactly what you think they would be. You just hit people in the head really hard. This is another time in the game that I basically ran out of ammo. As you can see at the end of it, I only finished the fight with 7 bullets. This led me to finally go and buy some ammo. I bought every kind that I could alongside the gun belt to hold more. And then I bought a second gun for when the game gave me another holster after freeing Micah. Following my purchases, I had a guy intentionally spread a disease to me because I was beating him up. And went to the bar to get drunk with Lenny in what is one of the better missions the game has. Following this, I went to hunt a bear with an old man, who abandoned me the first chance he got when the bear showed up. The bear was very kind by introducing me to what my internal organs looked like, and afterwards I went and made sure the guy that left me to die was doing alright. On the mission to save Sean, it started with another stealth kill, before fighting our way up a canyon and into a camp held by bounty hunters. Luckily, none of this was too difficult, as the game is still pretty early on. Immediately after this, I started the mission to save Micah. Even going through half the town, it wasn't that bad at this point. And the game gave me a second holster in the cutscene afterwards. Back at camp in the celebration for Sean's return, my game decided to screw itself a bit by flipping the camera 180 degrees every time I looked at Sean. After that incident with Sean, I met Arthur's former love interest, saved a kid from the danger that he posed to himself, and then took Jack out on a fishing trip. After that, I started the Pouring Forth Oil mission and began the train robbery. The robbery itself wasn't very difficult, but it had the first instance of the game drawing my weapon for me. Luckily in this one I was able to swap over to the revolver still, so it wasn't a big issue. The shootout following the robbery was pretty easy as well. In the next mission I was forced to buy a sniper. Luckily I didn't have to kill anyone with it and just had to shoot near people, which means that I didn't break the rules of the challenge. I briefly herded sheep, and then tried to kill John after the cutscene finished. During the mission fail, I accidentally restarted the mission and had to do the whole thing over again. During this point, we were introduced to the beach ball-shaped antagonist, and I did the mission correctly. It was also at this point that I ran out of health cures, which are used in-game to heal you. Due to running out of healing here, I actually had to use the cart as a form of moving cover for the first time. After all the mess in Valentine, I rode with Charles to go look for a new camp, cleared it out of the people currently inhabiting it, and finally started Chapter 3. The first mission I took on in Chapter 3 was taking Sadie shopping. On our ride back, we were jumped by some Lemoyne raiders and Arthur started doing behind-the-back trick shots. The next mission I had was to capture some escaped convicts. I did fight them, but I didn't end up having to kill them. Following this, I did a mission trip, which is one of the best experiences in the game and really shouldn't be missable content. After that, I joined a feminist movement, and finally regrouped with the gang to rob a wagon. When that went awry, I did an expert job of hiding in the barn before entering into a gunfight with Cornwall's guys. Luckily, the next missions were fairly easy. A gunfight with the Lemoyne Raiders, a gunfight with some moonshiners, and a bank robbery didn't prove any major challenge. I finally collected the last of the Downs debt. I stole some horses from the Braithwaites and saved Trelawney. Ultimately, the mission where you burn the Grays fields with Sean went smooth. But after the mission, my game crashed and my progress was reverted by about 45 minutes. After redoing all the stuff I just mentioned, I started Blessed Are the Peacemakers. After being jumped by the O'Driscolls and breaking out of their camp, I had to fight them after shooting the guy I had knocked out to make sure he was killed with a revolver. The fictional Irishmen proved the same challenge as real Irishmen, which is to say a credible threat. After recovering at camp, I experienced Rockstar's middle finger when they tore Sean away from us. After clearing the town and rescuing Bill, it was time for the assault on Braithwaite Manor. This wasn't a difficult fight, and after killing the old hag's last few sons, John and I were sent to clear out a new camp. The last guy alive in there reached for his gun, and I knew what I had to do. Dutch and I took one last ride into the end of this video, and I mostly beat the first 3 chapters of Red Dead Redemption 2 with only a Cattleman revolver. You may be asking why only go to chapter 3. That's because this is my first video, and if I edited all the chapters at once, I'd probably never be able to put it in. Additionally, this playthrough took about 10 hours to complete, so if you wanted to show some support, go down below and hit all the buttons. See you next time.